Hello, guys. Once again, welcome to Bobcat Corner. This is episode number six of Bobcat Corner, and I will resume in my series getting to know the Bobcats, the Ohio Bobcats football program, which I started in episode 5, but we're going to take a little detour back into general college football news, and this is something that I've been wanting to report for a while now. Uh, the news has been broken already for a few days, but I want to get to it. I want to comment on it. And the one reference that I want to share with you guys would be this Yahoo Sports article written by Ross Dellenger, a guy that many of you are familiar with. And I believe for the most part, he does a good job writing material for Yahoo Sports. He's one of the more reliable writers for Yahoo Sports, and that's saying a lot. But anyway, I'm going to share with you a link to one of the latest articles he wrote about the college football playoff. And it's titled simply Sources College Football Playoff Agrees to New Contract with ESPN. And obviously, those are words I hope I didn't have to read, but that's the reality. I'm not going to read the entire article for the record. I'm just going to leave it up to you guys to read the entire article in your own spare time. But I will go through a couple of the most noteworthy points, at least in my opinion, the most noteworthy points of this article. So let's just begin here as normal. College leaders have struck a deal on a new college football playoff contract. Executives from the 10 FBS conferences and Notre Dame agreed Friday, that was the previous Friday, to a new contract with ESPN that will begin in 2026, coming to terms on a new revenue distribution model and protections related to a future playoff formats. Now, it says here the news was expected after Big 12 and ACC presidents voted previous Wednesday, to authorize their commissioners to adopt the new framework. The two conferences were viewed as most reluctant to agree to a framework that puts them at a financial disadvantage. And the article just spells it out for you guys right there, why they're so hesitant. It's a financial disadvantage, which it should be obvious for anyone to see. When you really break down the numbers of this revenue distribution model, the ACC and the Big 12, those two conferences were not going to benefit nowhere near as much as the SEC and Big 10. That's just obvious. No matter how you slice the pie, so to speak, the ACC and the Big 12 were just not going to get what they thought they were going to get. So, continue on here. Looking for another part here. The new television contract with ESPN is a 6-year extension through the 2031 playoff and will pay the CFP $1.3 billion annually. That's such a huge amount of money for really a kid's game. You know, $1.3 billion annually, that's such a large amount of money. About 3 times the amount the network distributed for the 14 version. 3 times more. Those figures were reported by ESPN itself in its story in January. Now, a playoff format is not expected to be finalized until a later date, though protections and guarantees related to a 12 or 14 team format are part of the agreement. So there you go. That's basically what you can expect in this new deal. No matter what they come up with, it's going to be either 12 or 14 teams. It says here the champions of the 4 major conferences, not counting the Pac-12 because it's gone, and the highest ranked Group of 5 champion, I have a lot to say about that, will earn an automatic qualifying spot into any playoff. And then it goes on to talk about Notre Dame, what's in it for them, and then we get to this point here, which I have to highlight, is the percentages of the revenue distribution model. The Big Ten and SEC will combine to earn about 58% of the CFP's base distribution, which is 29% each. That adds up to 58%. The figure would greatly exceed the ACC and Big 12's combined distribution number, which is expected to be around 32%. The ACC will get 17.1%, while the Big 12 receives 14.7%. The remaining amount, which is roughly 10%, will be distributed to Notre Dame and the 64 group of 5 teams. Let's get into this, guys. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of chatter throughout these last few weeks about, what should be agreed to, what should not be agreed to when determining, a revenue distribution model. And at least in my opinion, guys, it became obvious that no matter how you negotiate, whether you negotiate in quote unquote good faith or bad faith, um, it wasn't going to shake out well. If you're not named the SEC or the Big Ten, it's not going to shake out well for you. It doesn't matter how you negotiate. At the end of the day, those two conferences are going to want what they want. They're going to flex their muscles and they're basically going to tell you to your face, hey, this is what we want because we say so. We believe that we run the whole sport. And if you guys don't like that, you can take a hike. Or we can take a hike and break away. That's how it is. Without literally saying it, that's what the SEC and the Big Ten have proposed in all of these discussions. Of course, nobody here on Yahoo Sports or anywhere else will report it like that, but that's how it is behind the scenes. And I think it's important, guys, that we really get a grasp on what's really going on behind the scenes and not just accept everything that you read. So yeah, guys, you can't just accept everything you read when it comes to articles like this. It goes on to say things about like the proposed model of the college football playoff. What automatic qualifiers should be in it, how many a conference should get, and really, guys, I have my own preferences when it comes to that, but it really doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me, how you slice that pie either. You can have something like two automatic qualifiers for each conference except for the group of 5. So, you can go 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, and then, that's like, 8 plus 1, 9, and then you get like 5 more. But even then, it doesn't make any sense. All these guys, all these conference commissioners, negotiating this, um, they knew purposely what they were getting into when they set up a 14-team playoff. They want the buys. They want that assurance that, there's some sort of gap there. And it would be too easy to get to a 16-team playoff or even above that, because that is not what these conference commissioners and Notre Dame, that's not what they're in this for. They're not in this for simplicity. They're in this to make this complex and difficult. And let's be honest, the most important thing to these guys, money. Like everything else, it's money. The distribution model, I'm not surprised. I hinted at it before in a previous episode of Bobcat Corner that the Big Ten, the SEC, they're flexing their muscles. They are flexing their muscles. They're using their influence. They're dictating terms. They have ESPN and Fox in their back pockets, and they know it. And they're going to use that leverage to push their weight around and basically tell the Big 12 and the ACC this is how it's going to be, whether you like it or not. And I won't be surprised if that's what Greg Sankey, the snake, I'm just going to say it, and Tony Petitti, the mafia boss, it would not surprise me if those guys told Jim Phillips and Brett Yormark, hey, this is our terms. This is what we want. Take it or leave it. And I have no idea how negotiations are in that room. I can only imagine. We can only imagine as being outsiders, as being college football fans. But, it's very alarming to me as a college football fan who tries to spend his time watching a product that hopefully is something that's genuine. And a lot of times I question that. I question how genuine this whole process is for a postseason, for not just bowl games, but just any postseason tournament like the college football playoff. And, the 58% combined, you know, for the revenue distribution model, it doesn't surprise me. I'm not surprised by it, but I just don't like it. I don't approve of it. And I obviously understand that this is the way the world works. But on the same hand, just because that's the way the world works doesn't mean you have to agree with it. And I'm here to tell you guys, no, I don't agree with this. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do agree with this because I don't. And you're probably wondering now, if you're watching this, okay, Stephen, why are you, so concerned about this? Aren't you happy that the group of five conferences even have a seat at the table in the college football playoff? And to a certain degree, I would say, yeah, I'm content that the group of five even has a presence in the college football playoff. I'm thankful that we even have one seat at the table, so to speak, in this thing. Okay, that's one part of it, but that's not the entire thing. Another part of this that I find very concerning is that if you are following a group of five school in college football, you have to keep it in proper perspective. And it's not just because of talent and recruiting and always looking over your shoulder and wondering if, your most talented players are just going to hit the transfer portal and just seek that, great NIL deal somewhere else in a power conference. It's not just that. It's what I feel is getting very lost in the shuffle right now in all this discussion about money or conference realignment or college football playoff tournament formats, the integrity of competition, merit based, earnings, whatever happened to that. We're so focused on, getting a big payday and we're not focused on what's ahead of us. If you're any TV network, ESPN, Fox, I don't care. If you're supposed to present something that's a genuine, keyword, genuine competition to people, your viewers, and you're trying to tell them that we're all on this same playing field, and then you read reports like this by Ross Dellenger, stating that how much the SEC and the Big Ten will receive, and so much more so than any other conference, it gives you pause. It gives you pause that here you have the SEC and Big Ten way up here, way up here, and if you follow the G5 conferences, any one of them, you're way down here. So yeah, the G5, they have a seat at the table. Okay, fine. And according to revenue distribution, they're going to make a little bit more money from 1.5 million to 1.8 million. Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to see a dime of that money, so it doesn't matter to me as a fan. The money does not matter to me. The principle matters to me. The integrity of competition, what I see on the football field when I watch these games, that's what matters to me. And not just the revenue gap that these schools are making, but the play on the field, the quality of it. It's got to match up with what you guys are saying. It's got to match up with what you guys are proposing behind closed doors, because if it doesn't, then you have to bring it into serious question as to what these conference commissioners are actually doing. So I'm not that thrilled about where we're headed in college football. Now, The G5 has representation in general, one seat at the table at the college football playoff tournament, no matter how big it gets. 12 teams, 14 teams, 16 teams, whatever number. And I hope it doesn't stay that way. I hope in the future there are other considerations to give the G5 at least a second seat at the table. I'm pretty sure we can give the G5 a second seat at the table, guys. But even with that said, teams in college football are just not viewed the same way. They're just not viewed the same way, not economically speaking, and definitely not on the field. You can have any G5 team go 13-0 or 12-1 for 3 or 4 years straight, and as you can see with the college football playoff selection committee, the clown show, that this committee is not going to care. They're not going to respect the 13-0 or 12-1 record. Just last year, they did not respect the 13-0 record of Florida State, which is a power conference team. How do you think this same committee, as currently constructed, how do you think this committee is going to react when they see an undefeated or 12-1, let's say, Conference USA team, for example? How do you think they're going to view that team? Not very good, not in a good light. And for any G5 team that goes 12-1 or 13-0 for like 3 or 4 years straight, and they can't even knock on the door on the college football playoff, there's a possibility that can happen, guys. And here on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Big Ten and SEC teams that are just 8-4 or 9-3, and still good, solid teams, but they underdelivered. They underperformed by their own standards. So I have a huge problem with comparing these kinds of teams, 12-1, 13-0 G5 teams that have truly earned it on the field, regardless of how you feel about them as a brand name, how much, eyes they get on their games. And then you have these, big conference teams that are just, treading water, barely getting by, not looking all that impressive, still getting a 9-3 or 8-4 record, something like that, but not all that worthy of a college football playoff kind of spot, if you know what I mean. Just certain things for you guys to think about, because one of the things that I believe that is intentional on the part of these people running this college football playoff system is that bias is involved. These people flat out lie to you when they tell you that they have this committee in place where they do their jobs and they evaluate teams and they factor in strength of schedule, which should not be factored in anymore because it's a joke. That's a farce. Strength of schedule is a farce. And this committee just flat out, it's got to go. It's a clown show. This selection committee, it's a clown show. They're an embarrassment to the sport. And it amazes me how much they get away with every single year. They're bogus, bullcrap explanations. Let's just put it that way. And I just do not trust this governing body for the college football playoff going forward if you're going to keep putting in biases left and right, economic biases and competition biases, whatever kind of biases. There are going to be biases. There's just no objectivity factored into this. And this is why I think this whole system is going to collapse eventually. Definitely by 2030, I believe it's going to collapse. But that's just my opinion. I don't know for sure. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys the scoop on that. I'm going to share that link to Ross Dellenger's report so you guys can take out the time to read it. It was posted back on March 15th, but if you guys haven't read it yet, just please go ahead and do read it. But anyway, thank you for watching Bobcat Corner. This was episode number 6. If you like what you see, please give this a like. And in general, if you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. Go right ahead and subscribe. I appreciate all the help I get. Thank you guys, and hope you guys are having a good day or night. Thank you so much. Bye.